Well, of course, there's no magic bullet for the cyber issue, but the fact that the ransomware and cyber liability market has exploded in visibility, but also in how crucial it is to the supply chain, has put insurance companies kind of in a difficult position. One of the quotes from this article says, in general, ransomware actors have gotten more bold and more ruthless. At the same time, the U.S. government now deems ransomware a national security threat. So think about it. Insurance companies don't cover war. They don't cover large inter-country conflicts, or in many cases, terrorism. However, ransomware and cyber liability has almost leapfrogged and eclipsed war as a potential risk. It's unknown whether the sources of these cyber liability cases, the ransomware cases, came from a government or quasi-government or supported by government in another country. But whether it did or not, it has the same effect. You know, if a country sent over a bomber and blew up the petroleum oil supply chain that was held hostage by ransomware, it wouldn't be covered by insurance. But if ransomware hits it, insurance may have to cover it. I don't know that insurance companies are seeing the depth of potential if a national security threat such as ransomware has to fall under commercial liability insurance or other cyber liability insurance. It's going to be a very interesting development to see how these insurers handle this. Where does ransomware come from? How does it work? Criminal syndicates that dominate are mostly Russian speaking and operate with near impunity out of Russian allied countries. What does that mean? Does that mean it's government supported? Well, it's at least allowed by the government. The syndicates have grown in sophistication and skill, leveraging dark web forms to organize and recruit by hiding their identities. Ransomware scrambles a victim's organizational data with encryption and then leave instructions on how to negotiate payments. Data theft, blackmail is where it's expanding to. I have to tell you, if you're an insurer, it's one thing to say, well, we're covering your building. If it burns down, we'll replace it. There's a fixed cost for that. Whatever the building costs to fix, if it costs $2 million to fix it, there's a limit on what that can cost. Ransomware almost has no limit. It's limited by the losses of that business. And if you're losing $1 million a day, $2 million a day in business, plus reputational, plus maybe third-party losses, there's almost no upside limit onto how much it would cost to repair from that. So an insurance policy that would cover loss to a building of $2 million that maybe cost, you know, $6,000 or $7,000 a year in premium, what does it cost to buy a policy that could have a loss of $200 or $300 million in ransomware? Right? I mean, if $6 million is what it costs to insure burning down a building, how much does it cost for $100 million? It's unfathomable how much this could cost, and that's where a lot of insurers are starting to go to shared liability, and also requirements that that company has certain procedures in place that they're checking on a regular basis. It may come to some of these losses are not insurable, and that companies have to use other means to offload the risk or the losses. It could be that you just have to run a parallel data center, so if you lose one, you have the other one. It may be cheaper to run a completely redundant data center rather than buying the insurance that would cost to cover you for a $200 million cyber liability loss.